In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you what you need to know about Ollama for you to build amazing chatbots using local LLMs. So this is going to be a step-by-step tutorial I've created in my website. So these are the steps for taking to build a chatbot using Ollama and using OpenAI API. So these are two things. I'm going to explain the difference because Ollama is a set of tools that helps you to download LLM or language models to your local computer and run it locally. But first, let's test my chatbot, which is running using locally installed model, and we are going to compare my chatbot with ChatGPT and see what performs better. And take note that if I turn off my internet connection, I can also use my chatbot for free. So I really don't need ChatGPT or a paid version of any other AI agent. So let's try. Let me start by asking a question here and see what the response looks like. So let me ask ChatGPT, what is a neural network? And after this, we are going to ask my chatbot as well, what is a neural network? And let's compare the outputs from the tool. Okay, so ChatGPT provides a whole lot of things. Okay, so this is ChatGPT. Let's now ask my own language model, my own chatbot, what is a neural network? Okay, so you can see my chatbot provides a response. You can see it provides a better response than ChatGPT. Clearly, you can see it right here. It says, okay, break down what is a neural network is. It's a really fascinating and interesting concept, and it goes ahead to give me all the needed details. And you can see right here, very much better than ChatGPT. So you don't really need to pay anything, and you don't need internet connection to use language models, and this is what Ollama is meant for. So let's go into the step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to show you how to download a language model locally after you set up Ollama, and then build a chatbot step-by-step using Python. And this beautiful UI here, we are going to build it using Streamlit, and I'm going to show you how to enhance it further. And of course, this complete program for this chatbot is available in my GitHub repository you can find in the description of this video. So let's go ahead to get started. Okay, so this is the step-by-step, and we are going to need a number of things. Streamlit framework for basic UI, Ollama for downloading and running LLMs locally, OpenAPI for making OpenAPI requests. And these are the steps you are going to follow. So I'm not going to keep this window open because I know all the steps. I'm going to simply go ahead to get started. So the first question you might be asking is, what is Ollama? The best answer will be to go to ollama.com, and you can see get up and running with large language models. So there are a number of models you can use. For instance, if you look at the chatbot I built right here, you see I've set up a number of models here. We have Mistral, we have Llama, we have Llama 2, we have 5.4, Moondream, Gima 3.1. But the fact that you can run language models locally does not mean that you can run any model just easily, because some of them actually requires lots and lots of resources. So if you go to models, you can see all the models available and some of the details about these models. For instance, this has 1 billion parameter version, 4 billion, 12 billion, and 27 billion. Actually, to see details in one table, you can go to the GitHub page for Ollama, and if you scroll down, you can see the table right here. Thinking about geometry, I installed it, 1 billion parameter, and the size here represents the size of memory you might need to run this model. And if you look at, for instance, DeepSeek, this one, DeepSeek, you cannot, I'm not sure you have up to 404 gigabytes of memory, but other ones are there you can try. For instance, Llama 3.2. You also have 5.4, which is the one I installed, 5.4 mini, Mistral, Moondream, and other ones you can try out. Okay, so this is the models hosted that you can actually download locally. And it simply behaves the same way as Docker. So let's go ahead to download one of these models, and then we can run it. So the first thing you want to do is to install Ollama. For Windows, you have to go to ollama.com, download. So you go to Ollama, you can just type Ollama download, and you can download Ollama for Windows and then install it. The same for Mac, but in case of Mac, I'd like to use my terminal Windows. So in the tutorial, you can see how to install in Mac, in Linux, and in Windows. So for Mac, I'm on Mac. I'm going to copy this command, and I'm simply going to run it in my terminal. So let's open terminal, and this is my terminal. Let me just close this. So this is my terminal, and if I run this command, just paste it right here, and it runs. And the thing is that I've already downloaded and installed it. So it says blue link or Ollama, and that is fine. So once you install Ollama, what happens? Once you install Ollama, you are going to see the icon on your desktop. You can now start Ollama. Once you start Ollama, you don't see anything, but you could see this icon right here. You can see Ollama server is running locally right now. It started and it's running. In Windows, you can see it in the, I think is the status bar, you can see the icon as well, showing that it has started. But in case you don't see this, you can also start Ollama manually from the command prompt. You can simply go to command prompt, but at this point, you can actually type Ollama. Okay, you can see that I have Ollama installed and it shows me the version. Now, for you to actually pull or download a model, what are you going to do? So you are going to simply run this command. So once you figure out one of the models you would like to use, in this case, I want to use Llama 3. So let's take a look at those models once again. So if I go to the GitHub page and let's scroll down and let's see. So you have this Llama. So let's try the first one. Let's just choose the first one, Ollama Run Gamma 3.1. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to simply run it on the terminal. So once you run it on the terminal, what is going to happen is that it's going to download this model. And if it's already available, it's going to simply start it. So this model is already available and it started. So let me kind of download a model that I don't already have. So let's try one of these models. Maybe we can just do, so let's try this Llama 3.2 1 billion parameters. So I'm going to simply copy these commands and go back to my terminal, and I'm going to paste it there in my terminal, and you'll see how it downloads a model and installs. So it says pulling the manifest, and this is what you are going to see for the first time if you don't already have any model downloaded locally. It's going to pull the manifest and then it's going to run the start up the model and it's going to run it. So these are the steps. So if you go back to my website and the command, what it does, it downloads the model, launches the chat session locally, and you can start typing prompts directly. So let's go back to check what is happening here. So here you can now start typing prompts. Just like you type in ChatGPT, you can start asking questions. So what is a neural network? And of course you can ask any question, not that you can always ask what is a neural network. You can ask what is your name, you can ask how is the weather today and everything you feel like. So this is exactly the ChatGPT kind of chat you can actually type here. And one thing you can also do is you can see a list of models you've downloaded. So locally I have a list of models I've downloaded. So if you want to exit from this REPL, so this REPL is like the interactive console for Ollama. So you can just type /by and it's going to exit from the REPL, read, evaluate, print, loop. I think that is REPL. Okay, so if you say Ollama list and it tells you all the models you've downloaded. So here I've downloaded all these models. You can see they are very small size model, but this one 9.1 is quite okay. You can always try with anything. I have my computer to be 32 GB, so I have a limit to the size of model I can download. Okay, so these are the models I have. So, but you can't continue to type on the terminal. You need some UI, right? So the tool we are going to be using for our UI is called Streamlit. So let's start building an application, and I'm going to use my favorite IDE, which is VS Code. So let me start a new project. Simply, I'm going to open a folder, I'm actually going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder basic chatbots. Or let's call it Ollama tutorial. Ollama tutorial. Okay. So there is the name of this project, the name of this folder. Okay, so we have our folder created. So the first thing we can do at this point, we are going to set up a virtual environment. So virtual environment, of course, you know that we are going to be writing Python code. So this is a Python project, but I normally like setting up a virtual environment before I start working. So you can also use packages in the base packages in your computer, but it's better for any project you have a virtual environment. So what I'm going to do is to simply go to my terminal and simply create a new virtual environment for this project. Just clear the console, and I'm going to type Python -m, and I'm going to say venv, and I'm going to call it venv. The directory will be venv, and I'm going to hit enter, and you can see it immediately created the virtual environment. And I'm on Mac, right here I'm on Mac, so I'm going to activate my virtual environment by typing source venv/bin/activate. Of course, you know how to do it in Windows. Just find the activate script and just run it if you're on Windows. I think I got it right, so I'm going to hit the enter key, and now you can see venv is showing here, meaning that we're now in the virtual environment, and anything I'm installing now is going to be right here inside this virtual environment. And this is very important, because if you are running a project that uses different versions of dependencies, you figure out that they will not mix up. So there will not be conflict between your projects. Okay, so let's now install and use Streamlit. So I'm going to run the command pip install Streamlit. So Streamlit is the UI framework for building interactive chatbots. Streamlit. So I'm going to just install it. While it's installing, maybe we can just take a look at the Streamlit website. So if you go to streamlit.io, if you want to learn a little more about Streamlit, you can actually just go and get started and try to play around in the browser. And yeah, so there are a number of components in there you can try. But for now, I don't think we have to spend time with these UI things. We want to learn about Ollama and running language models locally. And of course, later on, I'm going to show you how to beautify your UI and make it a bit more appealing using some styles. Okay, so this is about Streamlit, and let's go back to where we started. Okay, so now if you have this problem, because sometimes you have this problem and it says it cannot install CMake, and then it fails to install PyArrow. So simply update your pip. So I'm going to copy this command, and I'm going to run this command. After clearing my console, I'm going to run the command to update my pip. And after that, I can now run this installation for Streamlit, and I think this time it will install successfully. Let's now create a simple application on Streamlit. With Streamlit, so I'm going to create a file called app.py. So it's going to be a Python file. I'm going to type in a few things. So this code is already in my GitHub repository, so you can simply just copy and paste, but I'm just going to type it out, and I'm going to add a title, st.title, my Streamlit app. So okay, this is fine. Okay, so this is my first Streamlit app, st.write, welcome to my app, here are some of the features, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to write a lot. So st.text, this is a text element, and so on and so forth. Let's just add a slider. So I'm going to add a comment, add a slider, and it adds a slider for me, and maybe add a button, and it adds a button for me, and so on. So I'm not going to keep adding. Okay, so let's just add a number. So let's add a number. Number is equal to enter a number, and so you add a slider and want to pick a number, and it's going to, once we pick a number, it's going to write it. Okay, so we've created a simple Streamlit application. So let's run this Streamlit application using the command Streamlit run and then the file name. So let's clear our console. I'm going to type the command Streamlit run and the file name py, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it started, and this is the page right here. So you can see our slider here. So here we can see it's working perfectly well, and so on. Okay, so this is basic Streamlit application. This is not a chatbot for now. Let's now convert it into a chatbot. So let's go on to the next part. So I'm going to create another file. So for every application, every page I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be creating another file. I'm going to call this file BuildAChatbot.py, okay? So here we are going to create our basic chatbot. So I'm not going to copy anything and paste. I'm going to type it out. So we are going to import Streamlit as before, import Streamlit as st, and I'm going to import numpy as np. Okay, so now we are going to add, so add a comment st.title basic chatbot, and I'm going to initialize the chat history, right? So this is the history, right? If you are typing on a chatbot, you want to provide all the history as well, right? You want to provide the previous messages as well. Okay, so we have the chat history created, and this is, we call it, we add it to the session state. So first we check if we have messages in the session state. We call our history messages. If it's not, we are going to create a new messages and add it to the session state. So messages hold our chat history. So let's display the chat messages from the history. And of course, it's giving me this IntelliSense. So once you have this IntelliSense, we are going to actually not use this. So I'm going to delete everything, display the chat history on upload. Okay, so this is what we needed to do. Let's see, st.chatMessage.markdown. Now, this is fine, but I would like to kind of use context manager. So I'm going to say with st.messages the role, and we are going to add the content. So let's take out this. Okay, so what's going to happen here is when the chat starts, it's going to display the messages from the history, and it's going to display the messages is a dictionary with two fields, role and the content. So the role could be user, it could also be assistant. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to write a function that takes what the user types in the chat message area, and then is going to echo it back to the user when the user presses the enter key. So I'm going to say if prompt, so if prompt is equal to st.chatInput. st.chatInput is similar to your Python input function, but in this case, the chat input is the chat field where user can actually type things inside. So what will happen there? We are going to append the prompt user's input, whatever the user inputs, we are going to add it to the messages, to the history, and then we are going to display the chat history from the user, and then we are going to display the message. Okay, so we are going to simulate a response. We are going to simply take the user's response and just provide it as a response. So exactly what the user typed in, we are going to provide it as a response, and then we are going to append it onto the history, the messages, and this time the role is going to be assistant, so it's going to be the chatbot itself, and the content is going to be the response. So you can see the response from the user, from the chatbot, and you can see the prompt from the user. Okay, so this is our basic chatbot. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to simply save this file, and let's go to reload the page. I'm going to close up this. I'm going to reload this page. Oh, sorry. So we are actually going to run the second file, which is the basic chatbot. So I'm going to exit from this one, and I'm going to clear my console. I'm going to say Streamlit run, and it's going to be basic chatbots.py. Okay, so we run the basic chatbots, and it comes up. So you can see the basic chatbot, and let's type in something. What is your name? So we expect it to echo exactly what the user enters. What is your name? Chatbot responds to what is your name? How are you today? And it echoes it. Okay, so this is fine. This is our basic chatbot. Let's now enhance it. Instead of echoing the user's input, we are going to actually get some response from ChatGPT, right? So we are going to go to fetch some data by making a request, a post request to ChatGPT endpoints. So in this case, we are not using Llama this time. So this is like outside of Llama. It's using ChatGPT, building a chat agent using ChatGPT API. So I just want to show you that because you can use Llama, you can also use ChatGPT. The difference is that Llama runs locally. ChatGPT is making a call to ChatGPT. So with Llama, you don't pay anything, you have it free, you run it locally, you don't need internet connection. But for some very large models, like something as powerful as ChatGPT, models behind ChatGPT, if you want to build something more powerful or something that may be more enterprising that you may want to use for business, then you might have to think of using ChatGPT OpenAI API. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to call it Chatbots with OpenAI API, right? With OpenAI API.py. So this is a chatbot with OpenAI API. Now, before we can do this, we need to have an OpenAI key. We need to get our API key from OpenAI, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to create a folder. Let me call it .streamlit. So this folder is going to contain my secret file. So it's going to be secret. The name of the file is just like the environment file, but in this case they call it secrets.toml. I don't really know where this extension comes from, but this is how it is represented when you are working with Streamlit. Okay, so we have our secrets.toml, and we are going to now specify our API key. So I'm going to say API key equals. So we are going to get this API key from OpenAI. So if I go to OpenAI, I think I can go to platform.openai.com/account/API key. So this is where you go. Of course, you need to have an OpenAI account, and you can create a new API key. So just click on create new secret key. I'm going to call it Ollama tutorial, and I'm going to say create secret key, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to say done. Of course, I'm going to paste this plain text in my secret.toml file. Now, don't worry about using this key because I'm going to definitely revoke this key at the end of this tutorial. So even if you try to use it, it will not be available. So don't even try. So create your own if you are following this tutorial, okay? Okay, so what we are doing now, we want to build an LLM agent. Okay, so let's now set up our file. In this case, we are going to follow the same procedure. So we are going to import Streamlit as st, and we are going to say from OpenAI import OpenAI. I think we also need to install OpenAI. So let's OpenAI, let's see. Let me just stop the server here and try to say pip install OpenAI and hit enter key just to make sure. Maybe I installed it, but I don't remember. So make sure you install it. Okay. So let's set the title Chatbot with OpenAI API. Okay, so we are going to now set the API key. It's going to be get the OpenAPI key from secrets. Okay, so right here like this. So the name of the key is OpenAI. I think we called it API key, if I can remember. API key. So let me scroll this way. API key. Perfect. Okay, so we have our API key, and now we are going to also decide what LLM or what model we want to use. So what's the model we want to use? We are going to use a simple model called GPT 3.5 Turbo. So I'm going to say set the default OpenAI model. So default model is GPT 3.5 Turbo. And now we are going to We are going to add this to the session state. So I'm going to add it to the session state. So just in case I stop my app and run it again, we maintain this same model. So I'm going to say add to session state. So we have, no, not you. So add the model to session state. Okay, so if model not in session state, add it. Okay, that is fine. And now I'm going to say initialize the chat history, and this is fine. If message is not in session state, we initialize the chat history. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to display the messages, right? On upload, we display all the messages. It's going to be messages in messages, and we are going to display the role and then the content. So what does it mean? Of course, you already know this. So the role and the content, this is the role, and this avatar here is the role. I think you can also change it if you want, and the content of the message. And the content is marked down, st.markdown, the message is st.message. Okay, so what next? We are going to now accept the user input. We are going to now say what's going to happen when a user enters an input here. So I'm going to put a comment, accept the user input, and it's going to be if there is an input. So let's see if this is correct. So so the completion is really working well. So let's take a look, append the user's message to the chat history. This is fine. And display the user's message with st.chat message user. Let's see. Yes, and then we simulate a response from the chatbot. Now we are going to make a call to OpenAPI. So we initialize an OpenAPI object using the OpenAI key. So OpenAI, I'm mixing up the whole thing. So it's actually OpenAI. You create the OpenAI object, and then you specify the key, and then we create a response by calling OpenAI.chat. And then we are going to append the chatbot's response to the history, and then we are going to display the chatbot's response. Finally, I think this should be fine. So let's just check and see if everything is okay. So actually, I would have written this a little bit different, but let's just see if this works fine. So I'm going to run this by calling Streamlit run, and I'm specifying chatbots with OpenAI API.py, and let's see. So let's ask a question. What is the weather today? Enter. So chat object is not callable, right? So this is an error. So let's go fix this. Okay, so instead of doing all this, we are going to create a client, or we are going to simply use context manager. So we are going to say with st.chat messages, and this is going to be the assistant, right? And we are going to have so let's create a client here for making the request. So it's going to be OpenAI, and then we are going to specify API is equal to st.secrets, and then we specify our API key. Okay, in that case, we don't need this anymore. Okay, so we have our client now. So this client is what we are going to use to make call to OpenAI. So I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to simulate a response from the chatbots. So I'm going to say stream equal to clients.chats.completions.create. So we create a completions object, and we specify the model, right? The model is coming from session.session_state.model, and we have the messages is coming from the messages. But in this case, we are going to display the message one after another, and stream is equal to true. So messages, we are going to display it one at a time. So I'm going to take out this, and I'm going to use a dictionary comprehension. I think that is what it is called. So we are going to say role, and the role is going to be m role, and the content is going to be m.content for m in session.state.messages. So this is exactly how it should be. And we are going to stream it. Stream is equal to true to simulate a streaming response. And then we are going to add our response. Sorry, so we are going to just fix this. So response will be st.write. We are going to write stream, and we write the stream. Okay. And finally, we are going to add the chatbot response to the message history. Okay, well, we are going to add it at the end right here. Okay, so this is exactly what we should have. I think this should be fine by now. So let me save everything and let's run it and let's see what we have. So I'm going to go here. Let me stop the running server, and I'm going to just run it one more time. And this time I think we have some output. Let's just ask a question here. What is a transformer? And let's see what we have. All right, so you can see it tries to get a response and it tells me OpenAI rate or limit. So this is not an error, but it's simply telling me that I'm not subscribed to the premium version or the pro version. With a free version, I'm not sure you can make these calls to OpenAI. But the amount is quite small, so you can try to pay and try to follow this fair tutorial. Let's now go back to Ollama. So let's create another file. Let's call it chatbot with Ollama. Let's call it v1 because this v1 will not have any styles. But from the next one, which is v2, we'll begin to add some styles. So this will be similar to what we have in the OpenAI, but in this case, we are going to be making post requests. We are going to be using request object. So I'm going to say import Streamlit as st, and we're also going to import request. Now request is not there yet, so I'm going to simply install requests. I'm going to my terminal, pip install requests. Okay, so to make API calls, you actually need to install requests. As usual, we are going to say the set page title, set icon, the set title, that's right. Okay, so this is enough. So we now initialize the chat history as before, and we display the messages from chat. Let's see, just make sure that this generated code is correct. And for now, it's correct. We initialize our chat history. We display the chat history when the app loads. And the next thing we are going to do here, we are going to now display the prompt for the user. But for us to do that, we are going to check if there is a prompt, a user input. So I'm going to add a comment here, accept input from the user, and it's going to be about the same thing. Okay, so let's leave it like this, and then we are going to check if the generated code is correct. Let's just go through this code. So if prompt exists, so walrus operator is used to assign a variable only if that variable exists. So it's going to check if it's not null, or if it's not none, then it's going to assign it. So again, we are going to add the message from the user, the prompt to the message, to the session state, to the history, and then we are going to display the user's message as well, right? So we display the user's message, and we are going to now make a request to get a response from Ollama. And this is where you have to now pay attention to what is happening here. Now, Ollama has to be running on this local host, right? It has to be available here. And we are going to return a JSON. Let's see. So for clarity, I'm just going to hit this key. So again, the messages, we are going to stream it as we did before. So messages is going to be streamed. So it's going to be, I'm going to use dictionary comprehension again. So it's going to be, and the content is going to be content for in session state dot messages. So this is fine. Okay, take out this. So we are actually going to set the string to be false. Okay, so we have made the request and we get a response. So we have a response coming here, and from the response we are going to get a response containing all the response coming from Ollama. Okay, so we are going to check if the response, there is data in the response. We are going to check if there is data in the response first. So I'm going to do a check. I'm going to delete all this code. I'm going to say if response.status is 200, then response.data, I'm actually just going to say response.contents is equal to response.json, and then we are going to retrieve the message and the contents, okay? Else there is no response. I'm going to say else there is no response. We have response.content error and it provides error message, okay? Yeah, so this is where we are, and then we are going to display there's the response to the user as well. So we are going to display the response at the end of the messages. So I'm going to say st.markdown response.content, and finally we are going to add the reply to the chat history. Okay, so this is what we have. Let me just check around to see if everything is working well. So I'm going to save it, save all. And this time we are getting our response from Ollama. Okay, so we have a model here, Llama 2. Do we have Llama 2? No, we don't have Llama 2. So let's use Moondream. Let's use Moondream, maybe. I love the name, Moondream. I'm going to paste it. It's not Moondreamer, it's just Moondream. But the question is whether Ollama is running here. So let's see if Ollama is running. Let me just copy this port and let me check if it's running. So I'm going to say, to check if a port is running, you can say else self -i and put the port number and enter, and you can see Ollama is actually running on port 11434. Okay. So I think everything should be good to go. So let's go try our chatbot. So I'm going to, this time we are going to call the file chatbot with Ollama v1. So streamlit run chatbot with Ollama v1.py. Okay. Let's see. So it started. So let's see. Okay, so this is our chatbot with Ollama. Let's ask a question. What is a neural network? Property content of response object has no center. So let's go check. Line 38. Oh, response of content has no center. Okay, not response of content. It's actually a response content. Response content, not response.content. So save everything. So let's run one more time. This time I think it should be fine. What is a transformer model? Unable to get response. Why? Oh, sorry. Okay, so now the endpoint for Ollama is not chat completions, but it's actually API, and it's going to be API chat. So it's not chat completions, but API chat. So let me just check around for any other problem we might encounter. So let's save everything and let's go run it one more time. So let's refresh. What is a transformer model? So a transformer model is also known as transformer architecture. It's a type of artificial intelligence system that uses self-attention mechanisms. Okay, so this is exactly how it works. So I'm going to turn off my internet just to show you that this is going to work even without internet. So I'm going to refresh this page. Now we are not online. This is a local GPT. And actually, I'm going to go ahead to change this Moondream to Gamma. So let's see what model we might use. So let me use this Gamma 3.1b. Gamma 3.1b. So let me copy it and let's use it there. And let's see the response we might get from Gamma 3. So I'm going to save file, save all, and let's go to enter a message again. What is a transformer model? Remember, I just turned off my internet connection. What is a transformer model? Oh, it's a module, but it's going to understand that this is a type. So it's going to also give the correct answer to this question. Okay, you can see that the answer came. Gamma 3 actually performed much better than Moondream. So you can see it gave a lot of response. And it also understood that this module is a typo. So it breaks down the transformer model. So what do you need ChatGPT for? You can run this locally on your system. And this is basically how Ollama works. Finally, let me just give you one bonus, and I'm going to create Ollama, the file, this time version 3. And in this version 3, I'm going to put some styling, but I'm not going to take you through UI design because this is something that you can just get it from my GitHub repository. So I'm going to call this chatbot Ollama v3.py. Okay. So I'm just going to go to my, actually you can go to my repository, but I'm going to just copy and paste the content of that file. So I pasted the content. It's about the same, nothing much, except that you have this bundle of styles here, and you have like a sidebar here, and you have the list of items to show the models I have in my system. And again, take note, I'm offline, I'm not on the internet, so this is interesting for you to recognize what is going on here. I'm going to stop this one, and I'm going to run the version 3 Ollama v3 and hit the enter key, and it opens the v3. So the v3 is looking a bit better. So you can see different models here. I'm going to try Gamma 3.1b. I'm going to say what is a neural network. And let's see what we have as response here. All right, so you can see the response comes out quite good response, detailed response comes here. You can see right here. So this is how to build a chat agent using Ollama. You've learned in this tutorial how to set up Ollama, how to download large language models and run them locally, how to build a chat agent and fetch data from OpenAI API, and also how to get responses from Ollama locally. Okay, so there are a few more things that we may be covering later on in this tutorial. For instance, how do we do a RAG? How do we get additional information from data that is not available in the language model? How do we also fine-tune a model with our own data? And a few more things I'm preparing to cover in this channel. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe by clicking on that subscribe button below. Also, support me on Patreon because this is what I do at this point. All these are very, very motivating for me. And I would like to see you in the next part. Bye.